Welcome to Verdict Vantage, covering breaking news stories. Thank you for supporting our research. We would like to extend a trigger warning before we continue. Please be advised.
This video contains discussions about true crime, which may include topics such as violence, assault, and other distressing incidents. Viewer discretion is advised.
Verdict Vantage, thanks you for tuning in. Your support means the world to our channel. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and hit the subscribe button to join our amazing community. Stay in the loop on future updates by ringing the notification bell. And if you found this valuable, sharing is caring. Thanks again for being here.
All I know is he was vomiting profusely and struggling to walk, stand up.
A 911 phone call just released by Austin police gives us insight into what a man might have experienced before he drowned at Lady Bird Lake, a lake that's getting quite the reputation for being very dangerous. We're taking a closer look at that emergency call and the mystery surrounding Lady Bird Lake with forensic death investigator Joseph Scott Morgan. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. So we have an update for you surrounding the mystery of Lady Bird Lake out in Texas, namely the multiple dead bodies that have been found on a mile-long stretch of the Colorado River between the Lamar Boulevard Bridge and Lady Bird Lake out in Austin, Texas. And it's about a half-hour's walk from the Rainy Street neighborhood. This is a trendy night spot, pubs, restaurants, food trucks, and that is why some in the community and online fear there may be a serial killer, and they call this person the Rainy Street Ripper. Now, we've told you about this bizarre set of cases before here on Sidebar. You can check out a deeper dive that we did into all of the victims on that prior episode. But Austin police continue to insist that there is not a serial killer that is loose. Rather, that most of these deaths are not the result of foul play. You see, police investigations have consistently found that most of these deaths are accidental, that they share a combination of alcohol and this easy access points to Lady Bird Lake. And one of those deaths concerns 30-year-old Jason John, who apparently stumbled off a hiking and biking trail in Austin, Texas, and fell into the water of the lake. Happened in the middle of the night on February 5th, 2023. And now we have a newly released 911 phone call surrounding this incident. So on February 5th, a man apparently saw Jason go into the water, and he couldn't really help him. So what did he do? He rushed up the embankment to the nearby Holiday Inn to have them call 911. Let's play you a portion of that.
Hi, yes. I had a man just walk in here saying that somebody just fell in the river. He's drenched. I guess he tried to save the person, and I'm in the hotel, Holiday Inn Town Lake. What's the address? At 620 North. I just bring it back.
Okay, this is the Holiday Inn Town Lake?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, where will the patient be located inside the Town Lake? Inside the Holiday Inn?
Right in the lobby.
Hey, we appreciate you following our coverage of this Lady Bird Lake saga. We want to continue to follow it any way we can. And as a way of saying thank you, let me talk to you real quick about this really cool sponsor of ours, Upside, that's offering our listeners and followers something really, really great. So Upside is a first gallon of gas. Now, to be clear, Jason is one of 12 bodies that have been found in Lady Bird Lake since 2022. 11 men, 1 woman. And as I mentioned, that startling number has led to a lot of theories that there could be a serial killer, and they want city officials and law enforcement to do something about it. But again, authorities have tried to dispel that kind of theory. So on this cold night last year, first responders started heading toward the lake. The dispatcher was able to get some more information from this man, identified as Chris, who says what he saw happened.
He says that there's somebody in the river right now. The guy that's in front of me was trying to save him. So the guy that needs to be saved, I have no clue.
Okay, we talked to the guy that jumped in the river.
Yes, hold on a second.
Yes, yes. Please, please. Hello. My name is Chris Williams.
Okay, Chris, tell me exactly what happened.
I'm on the lake trail on the north side of town lake, walking down the trail. There's a young man up there about 100 yards away in front of me, puking and stumbling around and puking. And over the breeze, he went around in a circle. He went in a tree.
Dispatcher was able to get some more information from this man, identified as Chris, who says what he saw happened.
He says that there's somebody in the river right now. The guy that's in front of me was trying to save him. So the guy that needs to be saved, I have no clue.
Okay, can we talk to the guy that jumped in the river?
Yes, hold on a second.
Yes, yes. Please, please. Hello. My name is Chris Williams.
Okay, Chris, tell me exactly what happened.
I'm on the lake trail on the north side of town lake, walking down the trail. There's a young man up there about 100 yards away in front of me, puking and
started heading toward the lake. The dispatcher was able to get some more information from this man, identified as Chris, who says what he saw happened.
He says that there's somebody in the river right now. The guy that's in front of me was trying to save him. So the guy that needs to be saved, I have no clue.
Okay, can we talk to the guy that jumped in the river?
Yes, hold on a second.
yes, yes. Please, please. Hello. My name is Chris Williams.
Dispel that kind of theory. So on this cold night last year, for your first gallon of gas. Now, to be clear, Jason is one of 12 bodies that have been found in Lady Bird Lake since 2022. 11 men, 1 woman. And as I mentioned, that startling number has led to a lot of theories that there could be a serial killer, and they want city officials and law enforcement to do something about it. But again, authorities have tried to dispel that kind of theory. So on this cold night last year, first responders started heading toward the lake. The dispatcher was able to get some more information from this man, identified as Chris, who says what he saw happened.
He says that there's somebody in the river right now. The guy that's in front of me was trying to save him. So the guy that needs to be saved, I have no clue.
Okay, can we talk to the guy that jumped in the river?
Yes, hold on a second.
Yes, yes. Please, please. Hello. My name is Chris Williams.
Okay, Chris, tell me exactly what happened.
I'm on the lake trail on the north side of town lake, walking down the trail. There's a young man up there about 100 yards away in front of me, puking and stumbling around and puking. And over the breeze, he went around in a circle. He went in a tree and said that the man just stay there, be calm, I'm coming, nothing to worry about, it's cool, I'm coming, just be still and breathe. And then he went towards the lake in the darkness, I couldn't see exactly. And the next thing I hear is I'm walking, trying to get close to him, I hear a splash in the water, and I look over and I see the splashing. I'm about 50 yards away from, maybe 40 yards away from him. I said, man, swim towards me, swim towards my boat. And then he was dead in the water. And I knew.
Still in the lake?
Yes. I finally got to him with a long stick because I didn't want to get dragged down. But I got 6 feet away from him. And his head went down from maybe 10 feet the most. When his head went down, my stick was at least 5, 6 feet long. I went right over the top of where he was. And then as I got closer, I swept that stick around about 3 or 4 feet deep, thinking he was still about that.
With Byberg Business Insurance, protecting what you've built is easy, efficient, affordable.
Please, please. Hello. My name is Chris Williams.
Okay, Chris, tell me exactly what happened.
on the lake trail on the north side of Town Lake, walking down the trail. There's a young man up there about 100 yards in front of me, puking and stumbling around and puking, and over the breeze. He went around in a circle. He went under the tree and sit there and said, man, just stay there, be calm, I'm coming, nothing to worry about, it's cool, I'm coming, just be still and breathe. And then walking down the trail, there's a young man up there about 100 yards in front of me, puking and stumbling around and puking, and over the breeze. He went around in a circle. He went under the tree and sit there and said, man, just stay there, be calm, I'm coming, nothing to worry about, it's cool, I'm coming, just be still and breathe. And then he went towards the lake in the darkness. I couldn't see exactly. And the next thing I hear is I'm walking and trying to get close to him. I hear a splash in the water, and I look over and see the splashing and stumbling around and puking, and over the breeze. He went around in a circle. He went under the tree and sit there and said, man, just stay there, be calm, I'm coming, nothing to worry about, it's cool, I'm coming, just be still and breathe. And then he went towards the lake in the darkness. I couldn't see exactly. And the next thing I hear is I'm walking and trying to get close to him. I hear a splash in the water, and I look over and see the splashing. I'm about 50 yards away from, maybe 40 yards away from him. I said, man, swim towards me, swim towards my boat. And he went and he was down in the water, and I knew.
Still in the lake?
Yes. I finally got to him with a long stick, because I didn't want to get dragged down. But I got 6 feet away from him. His head went down from maybe 10 feet at most. When his head went down, my stick was at least 5, 6 feet long. I went right over top of where he was, and then as I got closer, I swept that stick around about 3 or 4 feet deep, thinking he was still about that level. I got right over top of where I believed he was. I swept around in a circle with the stick, and then finally, I tried to go as deep as I could. I go in expanding circles, and I couldn't feel him. I figured he'd only been down 30 seconds or so. If he felt my stick, he would have grabbed it. Okay. Yes. I swam. I stayed in the water for about a minute trying to feel around and find him. I couldn't find him.
What was he wearing? What was he wearing?
I couldn't tell. It looked like a light colored shirt and maybe some shorts or jeans. I couldn't tell from a distance. It was dark down there. All I know is he was vomiting profusely. And struggling to walk, stand up. And
did he fall into the water, or did you see him jump into the water? Could you tell?
I did not see him. I did not see him fall, but I was within 50 yards at tops. But it's wooded, so I could. To me, it looked like he was stumbling around trying to keep his balance, and he was moving pretty quickly back and forth.
Okay.
He was heading towards the bank where it slopes down a little bit, and he was stumbling pretty fast. He may have landed 5 or 10 feet out into the water.
Okay.
By the time I got to the bank, he was a good 30 feet out.
Okay.
Okay, so a water rescue team, they start searching that night, but they didn't find anything. Jason was reported missing later that morning, and his body was officially found in Lady Bird Lake several days later. An autopsy was conducted, and the medical examiner concluded that Jason drowned and the manner of death was ruled accidental. In fact, according to an Austin news outlet, KXAN, Jason had no significant internal injuries or external injuries, no fractures in Lady Bird Lake. And again, this is near Rainey Street. So with that, I want to bring in friend of the show, forensic death investigator from Jacksonville State, Jason had Bird Lake several days later. An autopsy was conducted, and the medical examiner concluded that Jason drowned and the manner of death was ruled accidental. In fact, according to an Austin news outlet, KXAN, Jason had no significant internal injuries or external injuries, no fractures, no trauma. A toxicology report showed he did have alcohol in his system, no illegal drugs, and Jason's body was found about a week after his death in Lady Bird Lake. And again, this is near Rainey Street. So with that, I want to bring in friend of the show, forensic death investigator from Jacksonville State University and host of the Body Bags podcast, Joseph Scott Morgan. My friend, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. Always a pleasure.
Good to see you too, Jesse. Yeah.
What did you make of the 911 phone call?
It's not uncommon to hear this type of kind of disordered information coming in. Isn't it interesting? This is kind of a throwback. This fellow had to go to a local hotel to make this call on a landline. He didn't have a cell, and so back years ago when I first started working, this was very common that you would get these kind of calls like this, whereas somebody that was at the scene with a cell would call it in perhaps. It's nighttime. You're talking about an area that is, in some areas it is well lit. I've been along the banks of Lady Bird Lake, which, by the way, is actually an impoundment of the Colorado River. And it's been there, I don't know, I think since the early 60s, they impounded this area. And it was called something else. And of course, President Johnson's late wife, it was named after her. Kind of a wreck area. And it's adjacent to this area where there are a lot of bars, restaurants, a lot of pedestrian traffic. Getting back to this call, though, listening to this gentleman talk about what he saw and what he heard, because he was able to visualize both things. This is not unusual, particularly if this guy's in distress beforehand. Anytime someone says, he used the term puking, so this guy is vomiting profusely, he's saying. I'm really wondering at this point in time, what was his blood alcohol level, the decedent's blood alcohol level, and does it reach to levels that would be consistent perhaps with ethanol poisoning, where it's incompatible with life. You have too much on board. Did he demonstrate with any other kind of illness that may have impacted him? One of the problems you have with these deaths at Lady Bird Lake, when we're looking at serialized events, Jesse, it's very important to bracket times and to try to understand, because this snapshot where they're saying that from 2022 to the present is evidence, and I'm not talking about the police, I'm talking about the public and the press, that this could in fact be a serial killer. Well, how many other deaths had occurred going back years and years, or are they similar to this? Now, it stands to reason you would have homicides in this area along the way, but to this point, I think that only 2 of these cases have been ruled homicides.
Hey, so I'm going to take a guess and say that a lot of you who are watching Sidebar might be business owners, maybe even thinking of starting a little bit of a side hustle. Well, that's why I want to talk to you about our amazing sponsor, Odoo. That description is true. And based on the autopsy, this does appear to be an accidental drowning, right?
Yeah, it does. And you've got somebody perhaps that's in such an inebriated state, Jesse. He's unsteady. This lake can range, I think, up to about 18 feet in depth at its deepest point, this impoundment. And so if he is already disoriented, he's already compromised in his ability with movement. I mean, anybody that's ever had alcohol and has been touched by that in any way, you know that you're already off balance. You can't make good judgments. You do it in very slow motion. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. Plus, it was cold. He's wearing clothes. It's going to weight his body down. It's going to drag him down at that point in time, and he can't fight it. And if there's any drawdown on the lake where there's a current passing through there, that's also a problem. They didn't recover his body for a week, Jesse.
But is that unusual that they didn't recover it immediately?
No, it's not, because I think the question you would ask as a death investigator, I used the term drawdown just a moment ago, is there being a release on the lake where they're allowing more water to flow through? Because this is part of the Colorado River. You have to keep that in mind. And as they're drawing water, it can actually capture a body, drag it down, and then not to be too grotesque, but, after a body's been down, even in February, after a week, the body begins to bloat. It then surfaces at that point in time. So that's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Let's answer now the $1 million question, right?
Yeah.
When we look at these deaths to see whether or not there was foul play. They might rule it as an accident, but is there something more? Looking at the autopsy again, where they said there's no significant internal injuries or external injuries, no fractures, no trauma. Could someone have murdered Jason and that still be the autopsy findings?
Yeah, is it within the realm of possibility? I think that, yeah, it should be. Using a modality like water to commit a homicide is highly unusual, unless you're talking about say for instance, somebody that is infirmed, that's in a bathtub, they're held under, or maybe a small child. It has happened in large bodies of water, but again, you have to have an individual that is physiologically compromised at that point in time. So yeah, I'd say that it was within the realm of possibility, but the witness didn't sound like he heard an adjacent person that was there. It didn't sound as though that he heard someone giving him commands or that there was an argument going on. So that would be real low on my list of suspicion, I think, at this point in time.
And just to clear up, because I thought this too, I was like, okay, who's the gentleman that made the call?
Right.
I would say if he was somehow responsible, and there's no evidence whatsoever he's in any way responsible for this, why would he report it? Right? So I just want to make that clear as well.
Yeah, it becomes the stuff of Hollywood, when you begin to think about the killer the killer that perpetrates is, say it's a serialized event and they want to call in, the case to get the attention. Well, first off, there's no established pattern here that this is a serial homicide event that's going on. So you can kind of check that box off. I think the guy was probably just a good Samaritan. Maybe the police will develop something else that might point in another direction, but at this time, this guy just seems like he was doing a civic duty.
And he was trying to seemingly save this guy's life and did the right thing. So anybody who has that kind of idea, just want to kind of dispel it right now.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, as I mentioned, this Lady Bird Lake, especially near the area of Rainey Street, it is getting quite the reputation, because just weeks after Jason's death, 33-year-old Jonathan Honey's body was pulled from the lake. And again, the medical examiner ruled that the death was an accidental drowning. Jonathan was from D.C. He was in town for a bachelor party. And then we have this latest death that happened in July of this year. That man has not been publicly identified. But again, no foul play has been suspected there either. Austin police even did a news conference where they tried to dispel rumors that the deaths are somehow connected.
Well, I spoke to homicide detectives, and there's no serial killer at this time. At least we don't believe there is one.
So, Joseph, I mean, this could be dangerous in the sense of misinformation going out there, causing people to worry about what's happening. It's not the first time that we've seen, is there a suspected serial killer? But I understand why people have that perception because of the amount of deaths. But the fact that law enforcement stepping in to try to calm that, you could say, A, do they really have more information and don't want to worry the public? Or B, they're saying, no, this is nothing, this is not, there's no foul play in most of these cases. This is more accidental. What do you take away from that?
Yeah, it's kind of, we're in summertime right now, so it's kind of analogous to the line from Jaws where the mayor says, you say barracuda and people say, what? You say shark and you have a panic on your hands. And that's what they're trying to quell right now. There's nothing to indicate at this point in time that there is a serial killer operating in this area. And I mean, the police they're on point here because they're having to work these cases along with the ME's office. If the ME, I would think at least that if the ME saw some kind of foul play that would give an indication that you've got somebody that is applying pressure to somebody's neck to asphyxiate them, or their execution style killings, or something else where you have a specific modality. Remember, you have to keep that in mind with serialized killers, because generally they stick to the same methodology. Drowning is very difficult to use as a means to commit a homicide. You have to think about that and think about how much alcohol does somebody have on board at the time of their death? Were there any illicit drugs involved in any of these cases? Because I can tell you, water and those two other elements do not mix well together. And you're warned about them all the time. And this place, this lane, this area in here is immediately adjacent to this heavily trafficked area where there are a lot of bars and restaurants.
If you are interested in our future coverage of this story, be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell before you go. Verdict Vantage thanks you for supporting our continued news coverage and research.
Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for more breaking stories, and remember, email verdictvantage